In the far reaches of space, far beyond the planets and stars that humans had explored, there existed an alien civilization that had lived in peace for centuries. Their cities floated above crystalline oceans, and their technology was unlike anything humans had ever seen. It was advanced, elegant, and deeply integrated with their environment. They had mastered energy manipulation, travel across planets, and communication across vast distances. Life for them was organized, predictable, and relatively safe, or at least it had been, until disaster struck. It started quietly, almost like a distant storm approaching without warning. Strange ships appeared on the edges of their star system. Ships that moved with terrifying precision and displayed an aggressive intent unlike anything the aliens had faced before. These invaders were larger, stronger, and far more ruthless than anything the alien civilization had ever encountered. At first, the alien military tried to respond using their standard tactics, sending squadrons to patrol the borders and defend key installations. But it quickly became clear that these measures were futile. The enemy adapted faster, learned their strategies, and overwhelmed defenses with sheer numbers and force. Panic began to spread. Cities that had stood for hundreds of years were attacked, and entire populations were forced to flee. The alien leaders realized that without outside help, their civilization could be completely wiped out. Their usual methods of interstellar communication, normally secure and private, were insufficient to reach anyone outside their system. They had to think fast. After days of frantic calculations and desperate planning, the alien scientists and leaders decided to send a distress signal, an SOS, across the galaxy. This signal was not like a normal message. It was encoded in a way that it could travel across unimaginable distances, hoping that someone, somewhere, might receive it. It contained all the necessary information about their situation, the location of their system, the nature of the threat, and a clear plea for assistance. They did not have the luxury of sending multiple messages. This might be the only chance they had. The message was launched into space with both hope and fear intertwined, a lifeline cast into the endless darkness, hoping that some force strong enough could respond in time back on Earth. Human scientists and military personnel had been monitoring the galaxy for unusual activity for years. Humans had long expanded their reach into space, not just for exploration, but for security reasons. They had a network of stations, satellites, and listening posts capable of detecting even the faintest signals from distant stars. When this alien SOS reached Earth's listening arrays, it caused an immediate stir. At first, the signal seemed strange, almost unlike anything humans had catalogued before. It was complex, layered, and emotionally charged. Human analysts quickly realized that this was not a routine transmission. Someone, somewhere, was in deep trouble. The message was urgent. Unlike previous communications humans had received from distant civilizations, this one carried an unmistakable tone of desperation. It was clear that the aliens were facing an existential threat. The analysts worked quickly, decoding the signal and verifying its authenticity. It was not a trap, nor a test. It was real. Every detail pointed to the same conclusion. A civilization was in grave danger, and they were reaching out to humanity because they knew humans were different. Humans, often called Deathworlders, were known in certain circles for their resilience, resourcefulness, and willingness to face threats that others could not. The human authorities understood the gravity of the situation. The SOS wasn't just a request for help. It was a call to action that could define humanity's role in the galaxy. Scientists, military strategists, and diplomats convened urgently to discuss the next steps. The message included schematics of the alien system, intelligence about the invaders, and a plea for immediate assistance. It was clear that time was critical. The alien civilization had already suffered significant losses, and any delay could mean total annihilation. As the leaders studied the SOS, they also began to feel the weight of responsibility. If they chose to ignore this plea, an entire civilization could be lost. If they acted, they risked sending humans into a dangerous, unknown war far from Earth. It was a dilemma, one that required both careful thought and decisive action. Scientists explained the technical details of the situation, the type of enemy ships, their capabilities, and the possible weaknesses. Military officers assessed what humans could realistically do. Some argued that the risk was too great, that humanity should avoid entanglement in alien conflicts that had no direct effect on Earth. Others emphasized humanity's duty, its unique strengths, and the opportunity to save lives while asserting human presence and reputation in the galaxy. Meanwhile, the alien civilization continued to suffer. Their cities, normally bustling with life and energy, now echoed with fear and chaos. Families huddled together as sirens blared, trying to survive the relentless attacks. Children were evacuated to underground shelters, and essential facilities were protected by what little defense remained. Every day brought new losses, and hope was beginning to fade. But they held on to the possibility that someone out there, someone with the strength and courage to respond, might arrive in time to save them on Earth. The decision-making process moved rapidly. Human leadership understood that the SOS represented both a humanitarian crisis and a test of humanity's capability. They realized that this was more than just helping an alien species. It was an opportunity to demonstrate what humans could achieve when faced with challenges that others might shy away from. Plans began to form for a mission that would test every aspect of human technology, strategy, and courage. The preparations were meticulous. Analysts worked around the clock to ensure the SOS was correctly interpreted, while strategists began to consider the composition of the fleet that might be sent. Every detail mattered. The distances involved were enormous, the threat was unknown, and failure was not an option. Meanwhile, news of the SOS spread quietly among the human elite and the interstellar military community. There was a growing sense of anticipation and tension. Humanity was on the brink of doing something extraordinary, something that could redefine its role in the cosmos as the decision to act crystallized. The urgency of the situation became even more apparent. Every hour that passed meant the alien civilization edged closer to complete destruction. The SOS had done its job. It had reached a species capable of helping. But reaching Earth was only the first step. The next challenge was to respond effectively, to deploy forces capable of turning the tide, and to arrive in time to prevent total catastrophe. For the aliens, the wait continued with a mixture of hope and fear. They did not know if their message would result in salvation or if it would be ignored. Every passing moment was filled with tension, as enemy ships moved closer and the shadow of destruction loomed larger. Yet, there was a glimmer of faith that somewhere, across the vast expanse of space, someone was listening, someone who could act decisively and with courage. On Earth, the sense of responsibility weighed heavily. Human scientists and military commanders reviewed every scenario, calculated every risk, and considered every option. They realized that responding to the SOS would not just be a matter of reaching the aliens. It would require careful planning, precise execution, and the willingness to face an unknown enemy. Humanity had a reputation for resilience, and now it was about to be tested in ways that had never been imagined. The SOS set in motion a chain of events that would change both civilizations forever. For the aliens, it was a desperate cry for help that represented their last hope. For humanity, it was an opportunity to prove its courage, ingenuity, and ability to act when others could not. The stage was set for a journey into the unknown, a mission that would challenge every limit and demonstrate what humans were truly capable of when faced with the unimaginable. The moment the SOS reached Earth, the urgency of the situation became undeniable. The human authorities understood that this was not a simple request for communication or diplomacy. The alien civilization was in immediate danger, and every hour that passed could mean more lives lost, more cities destroyed, and the possibility that this entire species might vanish forever. Yet responding to such a message was not a simple decision. It required careful consideration, weighing the risks against the moral and strategic obligations humanity might have in the galaxy high above Earth. In one of the orbital command hubs, humanity's leaders convened in an emergency meeting. These leaders were not ordinary politicians or military officers. They were the people who made decisions that affected the entire planet. Scientists, military strategists, and diplomats were all present, and the atmosphere was tense. The room was filled with the hum of advanced equipment, holographic displays of distant star systems, and real-time data from human satellites that had detected the SOS. Every person in that room knew that what they decided in the next few hours could change the course of history, not just for humans, but for another intelligent species entirely. Some members of the council were cautious. They voiced concerns about getting involved in a conflict that humanity had no direct stake in. After all, Earth itself was safe. The invaders were light years away, and there was no immediate threat to human civilization. Why risk human lives for aliens whose culture and values humans barely understood? There was also the danger of underestimating the enemy. The SOS did not provide complete information about the invaders. Their numbers, capabilities, and technological advantages were largely unknown. Engaging in such a mission could lead to devastating losses for humanity itself. However, other voices in the room were far more insistent. These were the people who knew humanity best: military strategists, explorers, and scientists who had studied the capabilities of humans across generations. They reminded everyone that humans were not ordinary beings. Humans had earned a reputation among certain interstellar communities as Deathworlders, a name that reflected their extraordinary resilience, ingenuity, and ability to survive and thrive in extreme conditions. Humans had endured catastrophic natural disasters, survived pandemics, and thrived in harsh environments on Earth. If anyone could handle an unpredictable and dangerous situation in a distant star system, it was humans. The debate was intense. Some argued from a purely pragmatic perspective, emphasizing the risks and uncertainties. Others argued from a moral perspective, emphasizing the responsibility to help a species in desperate need. But it soon became clear that the argument for action was stronger. Ignoring the SOS would mean abandoning a civilization that had called out in desperation, and humanity's reputation as a capable and honorable species could be at stake. Furthermore, failure to act could have long-term consequences. the invaders might continue to expand their influence, potentially threatening other star systems, and humans might be among the first to encounter them later under far less favorable conditions. After hours of discussion, the Council reached a decision. Humanity would act. But acting meant more than sending a few ships. It required a full-scale deployment of humanity's most formidable forces. They decided to assemble the Deathworlder fleet, a collection of warships specifically designed for high-risk missions in hostile environments. These were not ordinary ships. Each vessel was equipped with cutting-edge weaponry, advanced shields, and highly trained crews. Every ship was capable of long-distance travel, autonomous decision-making, and survival in extreme conditions. From asteroid fields to hostile planetary atmospheres, the fleet was humanity's best chance of turning the tide and ensuring the aliens' survival once the decision was made. Preparations began immediately. Shipyards that had been used for exploration, scientific missions, and routine defense were transformed into centers of rapid deployment. Engineers worked day and night, upgrading engines, testing weapon systems, and ensuring that every ship was ready for the journey ahead. Pilots and crews underwent intense training, simulating scenarios that could occur in the alien system. They studied the intelligence gathered from the SOS, learning about the alien homeworld, its defenses, and the nature of the invading force. Every detail mattered, because the success of the mission depended on precision, coordination, and the ability to adapt to the unexpected. Meanwhile, scientists analyzed the SOS for any hidden information. The message had been designed to convey urgency, but it also contained subtle technical data about the alien civilization's technology, energy systems, and defensive capabilities. Human engineers studied this information carefully, looking for ways to integrate it into their strategy. Understanding the alien systems could provide a critical advantage in the coming mission. It was a rare opportunity to learn from an advanced civilization while preparing to defend it. During this time, the human public became aware, in varying degrees, of the situation. While full details were classified to prevent panic, people around the world knew that humanity was about to engage in something extraordinary. News reports hinted at an interstellar mission, while media outlets speculated about the possible dangers and rewards. For the first time, humans collectively realized that their species was no longer confined to Earth. They had the ability to act on a galactic scale, to influence events far beyond their home planet. As the fleet prepared to depart, the crews faced both excitement and fear. They were volunteers, selected for their exceptional skills and bravery. Many had trained for years for the possibility of deep space missions, but this was different. They were not exploring unknown planets for science or conducting routine patrols. They were embarking on a mission with the explicit purpose of engaging an enemy and saving an entire civilization. The weight of responsibility was enormous, and each crew member understood that failure could mean disaster, not only for the aliens but potentially for humanity's own reputation and future interactions with other species. The strategy for the mission began to take shape. Military tacticians emphasized the importance of speed, surprise, and coordination. The fleet would travel as quickly as possible to reach the alien system before the invaders could complete their assault. Engineers and scientists ensured that the ships were equipped with the latest technology, from advanced propulsion systems to energy weapons capable of neutralizing the enemy ships. Communication systems were upgraded to ensure that the fleet could coordinate with the aliens, even across vast distances. Despite the chaos of battle. In parallel, diplomats and cultural experts prepared for the possibility of first contact under extreme conditions. While the primary goal of the mission was military, it was also crucial to establish trust with the alien civilization. Miscommunication could lead to mistakes, and in a situation where every second counted, clarity and understanding were essential. Humans understood that saving the aliens would require more than firepower. It would require respect, empathy, and careful coordination. Finally, after days of preparation, the fleet was ready. The ships were assembled, the crews were briefed, and the strategy was finalized. The Deathworlder fleet, humanity's best hope for interstellar intervention, was prepared to embark on a journey into the unknown. Each crew member felt the weight of history on their shoulders, knowing that their actions could save a civilization on the brink of extinction. They were aware of the dangers ahead. The enemy was powerful, the environment was hostile, and the outcome was uncertain. Yet, they also knew that humanity's ingenuity and resilience gave them a unique chance to succeed where others might fail. As the fleet lifted off from Earth's orbital docks, a sense of determination filled every crew member. The mission was not just a response to a distant SOS, it was a statement about humanity itself. Humans were willing to venture into the unknown, to face danger head-on, and to protect life, even that of species they had never met. The journey ahead would be perilous, filled with challenges that could not yet be predicted. But it was also a journey that showcased the very best of what humans had to offer: bravery, intelligence, and the willingness to act when action was needed most. Every light year the fleet traveled brought them closer to the alien system and closer to the unknown dangers that awaited. Yet, the crew remained focused, their training and preparation guiding them through the vast emptiness of space. For the aliens, who could only wait and hope, the arrival of the human fleet represented the possibility of salvation. And for humanity, this mission marked a turning point, a chance to demonstrate on a cosmic scale the qualities that had allowed them to survive and thrive on Earth. The stage was set for the next phase of the mission, entering a system under siege and confronting a threat unlike anything humans had faced before. The fleet left Earth behind, fading into the dark vastness of space, carrying humanity's hopes and the desperate plea of a distant alien civilization. As they traveled further from their home planet, the crew began to truly feel the weight of the mission. They were leaving behind everything familiar: its blue skies, its green landscapes, the voices of family and friends, and venturing into the unknown. Every member understood that the journey would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. The distance was enormous, stretching across light years of empty space, where even a small error could have catastrophic consequences. At first, the voyage seemed calm. The stars stretched endlessly around them, twinkling like distant fires against the black canvas of space. The fleet moved in perfect formation, each ship communicating silently through advanced networks, coordinating positions, velocity, and energy use. The engineers monitored every system, ensuring that propulsion units worked efficiently. Life support remained stable, and weapons systems were ready if needed. The crews rotated through shifts, some monitoring sensors, others studying star charts, and a few simply staring out into the void, reflecting on the enormity of what they were undertaking. But calm is never permanent in a mission like this. As they moved deeper into uncharted sectors, unexpected challenges arose. Cosmic storms, invisible to the naked eye but detectable by sensors, threatened to disrupt the fleet's path. These storms were regions of high radiation and electrical interference, which could damage sensitive systems or scramble communication networks. Navigators had to calculate routes around them, often in real time, using every ounce of their training and experience. The storms were unpredictable, shifting with currents that no human had ever measured before, and every decision carried risk. Asteroid fields presented another hazard. Massive rocks, remnants of long-dead planets, drifted in chaotic orbits. Some were small, no bigger than a shuttle, while others were kilometers in diameter. Even a small collision at the fleet's speed could destroy a ship. Pilots had to maneuver with precision, relying on instinct, calculations, and trust in their instruments. Occasionally, the fleet would break formation slightly to allow ships to dodge sudden obstacles, but they remained in constant contact, guiding each other through the danger. These moments required intense focus and collaboration. Mistakes were unforgiving, and every second demanded alertness. Psychological strain became one of the most serious challenges of the journey. The crew was isolated, far from anything familiar, knowing that their actions would determine the fate of millions of lives. The sleep schedules were regulated, but dreams of failure, of ships destroyed, or of the alien civilization lost, haunted many. Some crew members felt overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the task. They were trained for risk, but this was not a drill. The stakes were real, and the unknown dangers of the alien system loomed like a shadow on the horizon. Counselors and psychologists on board worked tirelessly, conducting sessions to calm anxiety, teach stress management techniques, and help crew members stay focused. Even small lapses in morale could become fatal in space, where teamwork and clear thinking were essential for survival. Yet alongside the challenges, the journey also revealed the extraordinary ingenuity of humans. Engineers repaired minor malfunctions in mid-flight, sometimes in zero-gravity conditions where a single misstep could be deadly. Pilots developed new maneuvers to navigate the unpredictable hazards of space, adapting human knowledge to circumstances that no simulation could have fully anticipated. Tacticians refined strategies for engagement, running simulations of possible encounters with enemy forces, using the intelligence gathered from the SOS and extrapolating potential tactics of the invaders. Every crew member contributed, whether in maintenance, navigation, strategy, or simply supporting each other through the intense pressure. The fleet also encountered regions of space previously unknown to humans. Some areas were breathtakingly beautiful, with nebulae glowing in colors no one had imagined, star clusters forming patterns that seemed almost artistic, and rogue comets streaking silently past. These sights reminded the crew of the vastness of the universe and the uniqueness of life itself. Even in the midst of danger and responsibility, moments of wonder provided perspective. They were not just traveling to engage in battle. They were witnessing the grandeur of the cosmos and carrying the weight of responsibility for beings they had never met. As the fleet approached the alien system, the tension increased. Long-range sensors began to detect unusual readings, ship movements that suggested the presence of hostile forces. The SOS had provided coordinates, but it was unclear whether the invaders would be lying in wait, fortifying positions, or actively hunting. The fleet had to prepare for multiple scenarios. Commanders held strategy sessions, using holographic projections to simulate attacks, defense formations, and rescue operations. Each decision had to account for speed, efficiency, and the lives of both the human crew and the aliens they were coming to help. Communication among the fleet was critical. Ships relayed information constantly, sharing sensor data, tracking anomalies, and coordinating maneuvers. The network was complex and required constant monitoring, but it allowed the fleet to act as a single, cohesive unit, despite its size and the vast distances between individual ships. This coordination was essential not only for defense but also for morale. Knowing that every ship had the other's support provided confidence in moments of extreme uncertainty. During this part of the journey, the crews learned more about the alien civilization. By studying the data in the SOS, human scientists could understand aspects of alien culture, their technologies, and the strategies they might use to survive. It was not just a technical study, it was a chance to understand the beings they were about to fight for. Understanding their systems and behavior allowed the human fleet to anticipate needs, identify weaknesses in the enemy's approach, and plan interventions that would maximize the chance of success while minimizing collateral damage. Every new insight increased both hope and the weight of responsibility as they traveled further. The psychological effects of isolation intensified. Some crew members formed close bonds, relying on friendship and trust to endure long hours and stressful situations. Others struggled with fear, anxiety, or homesickness. Leaders took special care to monitor the mental health of the crew, conducting regular briefings and exercises to maintain focus. Small acts, like sharing stories from Earth, celebrating minor milestones, or simply listening to each other, became crucial for maintaining morale. These human connections were as important as any technology in ensuring the fleet's readiness for the coming battle. Mechanical failures were another constant threat. Engines overheated, weapon systems experienced glitches, and navigation arrays sometimes gave inconsistent readings. In space, there was no immediate support. Each problem had to be solved with the resources at hand. Crews improvised solutions, using ingenuity, teamwork, and a deep understanding of their ship's systems. Every repaired system restored not just function but confidence. Each success reminded the crew of humanity's adaptability and the reason they had earned the name Deathworlders. Despite all the challenges, the crew remained determined. They were motivated not by fear, but by a sense of duty. The aliens had called out in desperation, and humans had responded. This was a mission unlike any they had undertaken before, and they knew that their success would be remembered not just by their species, but by the alien civilization that depended on them. That thought provided purpose, sustaining them through long hours of tension, sleep deprivation, and constant problem-solving. Finally, after weeks of travel, the fleet approached the alien system. The signals from the SOS were stronger now, confirming that the aliens were still alive but under extreme pressure. The enemy's presence was detectable on long-range sensors, ships in formation, energy signatures indicating weapons primed, and orbital patterns that suggested an ongoing siege. The crew realized that the journey had been only the first challenge. The real test, the strike, engagement, and rescue, was about to begin. Every member of the fleet reviewed their roles, double-checked systems, and mentally prepared for the chaos and danger that awaited. As they crossed the final distance into the alien system, a mixture of fear, anticipation, and determination filled the fleet. They had survived cosmic storms, navigated treacherous asteroid fields, repaired failing systems, and endured weeks of isolation. Now, they were on the verge of confronting an enemy they could not fully predict. Yet their training, intelligence, and human resilience had brought them this far. They were ready to do what humans did best: adapt, fight, and survive, no matter the odds. The journey itself had transformed the fleet. They had faced the unknown, overcome countless obstacles, and strengthened their unity as a single, capable force. Every challenge had honed their skills, sharpened their strategies, and prepared them for the confrontation ahead. They were no longer just ships and crews. They were humanity's embodiment of courage and ingenuity, traveling through the vast darkness with a singular purpose: to save a civilization that had called out for help, and to prove that humans, as what could overcome any challenge, no matter how immense or dangerous. The moment the human fleet entered the alien system, the tension was almost unbearable. Every crew member could feel it in the pit of their stomachs. For weeks, they had traveled through the void of space, overcoming storms, asteroid fields, and mechanical failures, all in preparation for this exact moment. Now, they were approaching the alien homeworld, and the signs of the enemy were clear. Long-range sensors picked up hundreds of hostile ships, moving in patterns that suggested an organized siege. It was unlike anything humans had ever encountered, and yet they knew that hesitation could cost millions of alien lives. Commanders gave orders with precision, their voices calm but firm, as the fleet assumed formation. This was a coordinated strike, not a chaotic charge. Each ship had a role. Some would engage the enemy directly, others would provide cover, and a specialized group would focus on protecting alien population centers. Pilots adjusted shields, weapon systems charged to full capacity, and communication lines buzzed with constant updates. The enclosed cabins of each ship was thick with anticipation. Every crew member understood that the coming battle could decide the fate of the alien civilization and demonstrate humanity's prowess in space combat. The first encounter came almost immediately. Enemy scouts, sleek and heavily armed, moved to intercept the fleet. The human ships responded with precision. Advanced targeting systems locked onto the attackers, and energy weapons fired with devastating accuracy. The engagement was fast and intense. Every maneuver had to be calculated, every shot precise, because mistakes were fatal. Human crews, trained for high-stress situations, relied on instinct as well as strategy. They adapted to the enemy's movements in real time, outthinking and outmaneuvering forces that seemed superior in both technology and numbers. As the battle expanded, it became a full-scale engagement. Enemy warships, many larger than the human vessels, unleashed waves of firepower, but humans had anticipated this. Using unconventional tactics, they divided the enemy fleet, creating traps and exploiting weaknesses in formation. Some ships drew fire while others attacked from unexpected angles. A strategy that had been honed through simulations and years of tactical training. The aliens, observing from their planet, could only watch in awe as the humans demonstrated their efficiency, coordination, and fearless approach to combat. Amidst the chaos, the fleet also focused on minimizing civilian casualties. Alien cities were still under threat, and humans knew that saving lives was just as important as defeating the enemy. Specialized units maneuvered close to planetary orbit, using precision strikes to neutralize threats while avoiding destruction of infrastructure. Evacuation protocols, coordinated with the alien forces, moved civilians to safe zones. Every action required split-second decision. A single wrong move could result in disaster, but the human crews performed with remarkable composure. Their discipline and training shone under pressure, and their actions saved countless lives. During the engagement, the fleet faced unexpected challenges. Some enemy ships used stealth technology, disappearing from sensors only to strike suddenly. Others deployed advanced energy weapons capable of bypassing shields. Humans had to adapt quickly. Engineers rerouted power to critical systems, scientists analyzed enemy patterns in real time, and pilots executed daring maneuvers that combined skill with instinct. Every success built confidence, while every obstacle reminded the crew of the stakes. It was a battle that demanded everything humans had to offer: strategy, courage, and adaptability. The aliens themselves played a crucial role. Human crews coordinated with them using the data provided in the SOS, learning how to anticipate the enemy's strategies and respond effectively. Alien pilots guided humans through familiar areas of the system, helping to identify safe routes and critical targets. This collaboration created a bond of trust between species, a reminder that the mission was not just about combat but about teamwork, empathy, and mutual survival. The combined efforts of humans and aliens amplified their effectiveness, creating a force capable of challenging even overwhelming odds. Hours passed, though it felt like days to those engaged in battle. The fleet moved with precision, attacking, defending, and adapting constantly. Enemy ships that had initially seemed invincible were gradually neutralized. The human crews exploited weaknesses in enemy formation, using targeted strikes to disrupt command structures and disable key vessels. The sheer determination and ingenuity of the humans began to shift the tide. What initially seemed like an overwhelming assault became a battlefield where humans controlled the flow of combat, using their unique skills to dominate the engagement. Despite the intensity, humans never lost sight of their mission: saving the alien civilization. Some ships were tasked with evacuating critical personnel and protecting cultural centers, ensuring that the aliens could rebuild after the battle. Others focused on disabling enemy ships in ways that minimized collateral damage. Humans understood that victory was not simply measured in destroyed enemy vessels, but in the preservation of life and the survival of an entire species. This approach demonstrated a level of strategic thinking and compassion that made them uniquely effective as interstellar warriors. The battle also tested the human crews in ways beyond tactics and technology. Psychological resilience was as important as firepower. Pilots faced overwhelming odds. Engineers worked under extreme pressure to repair critical systems, and commanders made decisions that could mean life or death in seconds. Every crew member relied on trust in each other, the training they had received, and their own courage. Humans were pushed to their limits, but their resilience, determination, and ingenuity allowed them to overcome challenges that might have defeated others. As the battle raged, the fleet adapted to evolving enemy strategies. The invaders attempted ambushes, feints, and complex maneuvers to regain the advantage. But human crews were relentless. They analyzed patterns, predicted enemy moves, and countered with precision. When a critical alien city faced imminent destruction, specialized units executed a daring operation, striking key enemy ships just in time to prevent catastrophe. The aliens watched as humans risked everything to protect their world, reinforcing the trust and admiration that had grown during the journey. Eventually, after hours of intense engagement, the battle began to turn decisively in humanity's favor. Enemy ships were destroyed or disabled, their formations broken, and their morale faltering. Human crews, operating with extraordinary efficiency and coordination, had neutralized the main threat. The aliens, once on the brink of annihilation, could now begin to recover. Humans had demonstrated not only their military capabilities, but also their strategic foresight, adaptability, and commitment to life. The fleet had turned what seemed like an impossible situation into a decisive victory. Even as the immediate battle ended, the crews remained vigilant. The enemy could regroup or strike again, and human forces ensured that all threats were fully neutralized. Engineers repaired damaged ships, pilots repositioned for defensive coverage, and commanders coordinated with alien leaders to assess remaining risks. The aliens themselves began to take an active role in rebuilding their defenses, guided by human expertise and strategic advice. It was a moment of triumph, but also a reminder that the mission was ongoing. The preservation of life required continued vigilance and cooperation. The impact of the human fleet's actions was immediate and profound. Entire alien cities were saved, lives were preserved, and the invaders were forced into retreat. The aliens, many of whom had feared total annihilation, now saw a future filled with hope. The human crews, exhausted but resolute, had achieved what seemed impossible. Their courage, ingenuity, and discipline had not only defeated the enemy but also forged a lasting bond between species. Humans had proven that they could act decisively under extreme conditions, fulfilling the promise implicit in the alien SOS. As the fleet prepared to stabilize the system, the full significance of their actions became clear. This was more than a military victory. It was a demonstration of humanity's values and capabilities. Humans had intervened not for conquest or personal gain but to protect life and uphold the trust of another civilization. This approach earned the respect of the aliens and set a precedent for future interactions between humans and other species. It was a defining moment in humanity's history, a testament to the courage and ingenuity that had allowed them to survive and thrive in the galaxy. By the end of the engagement, the fleet had achieved its objectives. Enemy forces were defeated or scattered, critical infrastructure was preserved, and the aliens were able to begin immediate recovery efforts. The human crews, though fatigued, took pride in their accomplishment. They had navigated unknown space, faced overwhelming odds, and emerged victorious without compromising their principles. This battle would be remembered not just for its tactical brilliance but for the way humans acted with precision, compassion, and unshakable determination. Even as celebrations began among the alien population, humans remained vigilant. The mission had not only required technical skill and bravery but also patience, strategy, and moral judgment. The success of the operation depended on every crew member performing their role, every decision made under pressure, and the ability to adapt to unforeseen challenges. It was a powerful reminder of the complexity of interstellar conflict and the unique strengths that humans brought to the galaxy. The victory also marked a turning point in the relationship between the two species. Humans had arrived as strangers responding to a desperate plea and left as trusted allies, demonstrating that even across vast distances, cooperation, courage, and intelligence could overcome the greatest threats. The fleet's actions had proven that humanity, as death, could face unimaginable challenges, protect life, and emerge victorious. After the fierce battle that had saved the alien civilization, the human fleet did not immediately return home. The situation was fragile, and the system needed time to stabilize. The aliens had suffered tremendous losses, their cities damaged, and their infrastructure weakened. Although the enemy had been driven back or destroyed, the risk of further attacks still existed. Human commanders understood that leaving too soon could undo everything they had fought to achieve. They needed to ensure that the aliens could recover safely and that their victory was not just temporary. The human crews moved systematically, coordinating with alien leaders to survey the damage. Using advanced sensors and engineering teams, they assessed critical facilities, energy grids, and communication networks. Hospitals, transportation hubs, and government centers had to be prioritized for repair. Alien engineers worked alongside humans, learning new techniques and integrating human technologies where possible. The collaboration was remarkable. Humans, who had arrived as outsiders, quickly became advisors, mentors, and partners. Their knowledge, creativity, and problem-solving abilities accelerated the recovery process and gave the aliens hope that they could rebuild stronger than before. The fleet also remained on high alert. Although the immediate threat was neutralized, there was no guarantee that the enemy had been fully defeated. Scouts and patrols were sent to monitor surrounding sectors, detecting any movement of hostile forces. Defensive positions were established near key cities and installations, ready to respond at a moment's notice. The human crews knew that vigilance was essential. Their presence reassured the aliens, showing them that they were not alone and that humans would not abandon them in their time of need. The human crews also took the time to learn about the aliens' culture and society. They discovered a civilization rich in history, art, and knowledge. Libraries, museums, and archives had been damaged in the conflict, but humans helped recover and preserve what they could. They worked alongside scholars and cultural leaders, using their technology to reconstruct lost records and restore damaged facilities. This effort went beyond military assistance. It demonstrated humanity's respect for life, history, and knowledge, solidifying trust and deepening the bond between species. The aliens, in turn, expressed profound gratitude. Their leaders formally thanked the human fleet, not just for saving lives, but for acting with respect and care. The message was heartfelt and emotional, emphasizing that humans had gone beyond mere intervention. They had risked everything to protect an entire civilization, without expectation of reward or recognition. This acknowledgement was deeply moving for the human crews. Many had joined the mission understanding the risks, but the appreciation of those they had saved gave their efforts profound meaning. While the immediate crisis was over, the humans also focused on long-term stability. They shared knowledge of defensive strategies, helping the aliens develop systems to better protect themselves in the future. They trained alien forces in tactics that had proven effective during the battle, showing them how to anticipate enemy movements and respond quickly. Humans also provided guidance on communication systems, surveillance networks, and energy distribution, enabling the aliens to rebuild their society with greater resilience. The collaboration was intensive, with both species learning from each other and growing stronger as a result. Back on Earth, the story of the mission began to spread. Initially, only a few high-level officials were aware of the full scope of events. But as details emerged, the global population became aware of the extraordinary effort. Humans had traveled across light years of space, fought a powerful enemy, and saved an alien civilization. The news inspired awe and pride. People around the world marveled at the courage, ingenuity, and selflessness of the fleet. This mission became a symbol of humanity's potential, showing that even in the vast, cold expanse of space, humans could act decisively and with compassion. The mission also sparked discussions among scientists, strategists, and diplomats. Humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer theoretical, it was active and impactful. The success of the fleet demonstrated that humans could operate far from Earth, facing unknown dangers and making critical decisions under extreme pressure. It also highlighted the importance of interstellar cooperation. The alliance formed between humans and the aliens became a model for how species could work together, combining strengths and knowledge to overcome challenges that no one could face alone. That is, the aliens rebuilt. Humans were recognized not just as warriors but as allies and protectors. The fleet's actions had prevented the collapse of a civilization, preserved cultural heritage, and established trust that could endure for generations. Alien leaders began to offer technology and resources in exchange for continued collaboration. Advanced energy systems, new propulsion methods, and insights into scientific phenomena were shared, enriching human knowledge. Diplomats began discussions about formal alliances, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. What started as a mission of rescue had transformed into the foundation for a lasting interstellar partnership. The human crews, though celebrated, were humble. They had been trained for danger, prepared for combat, and aware of the risks. But the success of the mission depended on more than their individual skills. It depended on teamwork, trust, and the ability to adapt to every challenge. Engineers, pilots, tacticians, and support personnel had all contributed to the outcome. Their collective efforts saved lives and ensured the survival of an entire civilization. For them, the real reward was knowing that their actions had made a difference, that the SOS had not gone unanswered, and that the aliens could continue to thrive in the aftermath. The fleet also reflected on the human qualities that had made their success possible. Resilience, courage, ingenuity, and empathy had allowed them to overcome enormous challenges. They had faced unknown enemies, navigated perilous environments, and endured psychological stress, yet they had prevailed. The mission reinforced the idea that humanity's greatest strength was its adaptability, the ability to confront extreme danger, learn quickly, and act decisively while maintaining moral responsibility. These qualities earned humans a new reputation among the stars, not just as capable warriors, but as protectors of life and allies to those in need. As the final systems were stabilized and the immediate repairs completed, the human fleet prepared to return to Earth. Their mission was technically complete, but the experience had left a lasting impact on every member of the crew. They had witnessed the fragility and beauty of another civilization, understood the consequences of inaction, and experienced the profound responsibility that came with their capabilities. Each member carried the memory of the aliens' gratitude, the intensity of the battle, and the satisfaction of having done what was right when it mattered most. For the alien civilization, the human intervention was transformative. They had survived annihilation, learned new ways to protect themselves, and established a lasting alliance with humanity. Their perception of humans changed forever. What had once been distant observers of the galaxy now became trusted allies, capable of swift action and extraordinary courage. Plans for future collaboration began immediately, encompassing technology sharing, joint defense strategies, and cultural exchanges. The bond forged in crisis would shape both civilizations for generations to come. Back on Earth, the mission became a defining moment in human history. Schools, media, and public discourse celebrated the courage and ingenuity of the fleet. Philosophers and leaders reflected on humanity's role in the universe, debating the moral responsibilities of a species capable of interstellar intervention. Scientists studied the technologies and strategies used during the mission, while military academies used the operation as a case study for future generations. The successful rescue of the alien civilization became a story of hope, courage, and the potential of humans to act decisively in the face of extraordinary challenges. Ultimately, the mission demonstrated that humanity could rise to the occasion when faced with the unknown. It showed that courage, intelligence, and compassion could overcome even the most daunting threats. The alien civilization's survival was a testament to what humans could achieve when they worked together, relied on their strengths, and acted without hesitation when the stakes were highest. For both humans and aliens, this operation would be remembered as a turning point, a moment when one species reached across the stars to save another, and in doing so proved that life, cooperation, and courage could endure even in the darkest reaches of the universe. The legacy of the mission extended beyond immediate survival. It influenced diplomacy, technology, and interstellar strategy. Humanity's reputation as Deathworlders resilient, resourceful, and fearless was solidified. Their ability to act decisively and morally in the face of overwhelming odds became a guiding principle for future interactions with other civilizations. The alliance between humans and the aliens promised mutual growth, understanding, and protection, showing that even in a galaxy full of unknown dangers, trust and collaboration could create a safer and more prosperous future for all. When the fleet finally returned to Earth, the crews were greeted as heroes, not only for their bravery in battle but for their role in saving a civilization. Yet the true reward was intangible: the knowledge that they had acted with integrity, courage, and skill, that the SOS had not gone unanswered, and that humanity had proven itself capable of extraordinary deeds. The story of the mission would be told for generations, a testament to what humans could achieve when they faced the unknown with determination, intelligence, and compassion.